So as I've said in the slides earlier, the most important thing is for you to dissect sharp. All right, you need to dissect sharp. What I don't like to do is spread and cut like general surgeons do. The thing about that, and just to show you on the opposite side, if you have a side branch coming out like this, you can see the tiny branches here, and if you spread, this will become as if you have chewed the artery and repairing becomes difficult. Whereas if I make a nick in the vessel which is neat and clean, I can always repair it with a 7 or 6 or whatever it be. So rather than make it like a dog's breakfast, I would prefer it that I would dissect clean. So traction and counter traction is what we need when you're trying to clear off surrounding tissue from the blood vessel. All right, we're going to demonstrate today end-to-side vascular anastomosis, and for that purpose we've just used a Lamb Biota vessel, and this, if you think, this is the common femoral, superficial femoral artery, this being the profunda, and this is going to be the great saphenous vein graft coming onto that. So what you need is essentially, I prefer to use a 11 blade knife. I suppose that's what everybody does. You have, I presume you've already dissected clear, got proximal and distal control. There will be a clamp probably here if you're doing the anastomosis here as well. But this being in the SFA, I would have moved my control here, and you have a vessel loop or a vascular clamp around it. So hold the vessel such that you don't have a chance of going through the posterior wall, and if you can, hold the vessel, and then you enter in at an angle, and when you see blood coming, you stop, because then you know you're in the lumen, and then you pull out, and then you would have to use the scissor, using a pot scissor, of course. This is lamb tissue, and I don't want to spoil your assistant will help you open the arteriotomy. If you can see it, you can't see it. I can see it here now, yeah. So into the arteriotomy, and then extend the arteriotomy for as far as you would like it. Make sure you have all layers involved, and then if your assistant can help, if you don't have a reverse cutting pots, then you go on to with that. So for the purpose today, we'll consider this to be a end-to-side SFA, great saphenous vein to popliteal bypass. One is we've beveled the conduit so that it fits in. A good way to check whether that's adequate is use your DeBakey's, see how wide that is, and see how wide that is, and that will give you an approximate idea whether that is enough. More on this is not a problem, less on this not a problem, you can always extend. But if you have less arteriotomy and more on the conduit, then you'll be cheating a lot. So try and get that as right as you can. The edges would need to be trimmed, just so that when you anastomose it, it comes together nicely. A good idea is to keep your tissues wet. Please remember, your assistant can do that. And it's all about traction, counter traction to tidy up the edges. Again, this is unlike human tissue, so you would have to see how you're going to handle, but the idea is to get the basics right. So you're steadying it, straightening it, assistant. I always say that a vascular anastomosis is only as good as the assistant. So I think that's important. Assistance is important. Direction in which you pull, how you make, keep the tissue taut, and so on. So that's looking nice and neat, and that would be about the length of my hood, and that's about what the anastomosis is. Okay, so now we're going to start the anastomosis. So what you would need is obviously DeBakey's forceps or fine tooth forceps, fine ring tip forceps. The moment you have anything that is of small caliber, try and use the adventitia to your advantage to hold. I know that some surgeons wouldn't mind saying you can hold the vessel like this, but I personally prefer to just use the adventitia. At most, put the forceps inside if you want to see what you're doing. The instruments, again, for anything above 5/0, so 4/0, 3/0, 2/0, you can use a golden handle needle holder. For 5/0 and above, you can use a Castro, and therein again lies the dexterity of wanting to use it with your fingers and your wrist. The elbow would come into play only if you're going to do a sheath or something really tough or calcified vessels where you need to. Always try and support your hand. If you think you're working at a depth, you can either rest on your resistance hand or use your little finger to try and stabilize your hand as you're anastomosing. So we are now going to start this anastomosis. I'm going to demonstrate the parachute technique. You could do anything. You could do tie down and then go around, but I'll show parachute, and depends on whatever you're comfortable with. It's good to know as many techniques as possible. Okay, so we're going to do a end to side anastomosis, as you can see, and as I said in my slides earlier, you'd want to go inside out on on your native vessel. So we start at 12 o'clock. If your assistant is happy to do it, that's fine. And I'm just doing this for the sake of purposes of teaching today, but my assistant, Dr. Ibrahim here, is perfectly competent in doing the anastomosis, and I'll give it to him. So this is the heel. I'd like to take one at, say if this is 6 o'clock, and I'd like to take one at 4 and another at 8. And then you come all the way up, and then again pay attention to 10, 12, and 2. So while my assistant puts his, and I can see there's a tiny branch here, go beyond that, include it, that's okay. Try not to hold the tip of the needle, because once the tip of the needle is damaged, then you're done for. So then, what we did bring today for this jig was a rubber shot, but so now in real life there would be a rubber shot on this, and we'll just use perhaps a heavier instrument to try and keep that there. Important to get your orientation so that you know that goes there and this side would come here. So if you get mixed up, it's very easy for that to happen. Again, load your needle and then receive that. It's good for the assistant to now and then just pour some water, because Hepsaline, because that kind of wets the tissue and allows for free movement of the tissue of the sutures. And then again, so what I tend to do is either hold the needle at right angles or 45 degrees forward or 45 degrees back. Now the other thing I'd like to do, if I need more control, is go closer to the tip. If I'm okay with getting further depth, then I would go there. So in this case, we're kind of holding it in the middle, and then it's a little less than ideal. I wanted to show you guys an anastomosis in real life, but then with electives gone in this COVID time, we're trying to also use our resources appropriately, and therefore that doesn't happen. The traction is constantly being kept on the inflow on the conduit. So normally I like to take 3 to 4 sutures on each side, and then parachute it down. So we're going to take another bite there. Always come out on the inflow side of the vessel. Don't leave your needle hanging from your conduit. Okay? So this is where I come out and I leave my needle there. Then I'll take my other needle. Now, a question that some of you may ask is what length do I leave where? I always like to end my anastomosis facing me. If I'm doing something that is say below knee anastomosis or above knee anastomosis, this being my anastomosis, I'd like to end my anastomosis on the top, not at the bottom of the outflow. So wanting to end on my side, I would keep the side away from me about 60-65% length of the suture there, and keep the shorter length towards me. So right now we have more length towards me, and that we will adjust. I also like to go in out, so you have like a U, a double U on the arterial end. Some people prefer to start both on the conduit end, which is fine as long as you're going inside out. There is nothing written in stone, but the principle is, as far as possible, go inside out on the arterial end. So again, I see my branch here. If I don't take that, I might land up with a bleed in the heel, which will be very difficult to control. So take that. Now a trick here. What would happen is people will struggle to do this bit. So what I like to do here is I load the needle almost at right angles like this, and this way I'm pushing the vessel away. I'm inside, and then I move my wrist to where I want the needle to come out this way, and release. Pull. So you see, there is no dancing and waving on the operating table. You just load the needle slightly differently, and then you're fine. What depth should we be taking? It depends on the vessel that you have, 2 to 3 millimeter bites. But if you only have a 2 millimeter or a 2.5 millimeter peroneal or posterior tibial, then you only can probably take about a millimeter. So again, showing you, so the blunt part takes it in. Make sure you have all 3 layers, and then I'd like to use some of this adventitia to my advantage, and then get your needle out. Now we are sort of ready to pull this down. Another hint, you have 2 20cc syringes, get your nurses to keep that available. I don't like it pulled up all the way here because it's very difficult and unwieldy to control. So just 15 ml is good enough. Get them to nicely wet the suture and pull. I'm going to pull the sutures in the direction in which it is coming out. Now you can use a forceps maybe. So as I'm pulling these sutures, my assistant keeps the traction. Remember, I mean, it's a little unwieldy because this is not human tissue. I have more suture on my side. I want to increase. So again, you could, sort of, it's less than ideal, but just to give you an idea of what this is. Yeah. So we try and avoid this bunching, which can happen. And you can see how that bunching is happening, a bit of adjusting. I mean, this does, in real life, you wouldn't be so robust with it. But yeah, so there you see. Okay, so now it's sitting nicely. Pull in the direction. If you pull like this, you can tear the vessel. If you pull like this, you can tear the vessel. Pull it out in the direction in which your sutures are coming out. Alright, so now I will take some more sutures towards me and then come around with the rest. When you start taking the sides, after you've taken every 1 or 2 bites, just make sure you're okay with the length of the conduit. Alright, and if you take it right, the idea is that these edges should evert when you take the stitch. Can you see? Can you hold that down? Yeah. So now, for example, enter at right angles, please. Use pronation, supination adequately well so that you don't come in obliquely into the suture, and then almost same depth each time. And as you come out, adjust it so that the edges evert. And then your assistant would have to, or you could yourself direct the knot down like that. So make sure the edges evert like this, because that way the anastomosis will stay open. If it inverts, you know neoentomal hyperplasia happens. Whatever be the size of your anastomosis will go down by about 1 to 2 millimeters in about a year's time. And therefore, keeping the edges everted is important, as I mentioned in my slides prior to the video demonstration.
Okay.
Alright, so I've come about halfway through on my side and stopped there. Then I started suturing away from me, and I know this is my corner, so I need to start planning my corner. I might have more vein than R3, in which case, yes, if you have done adequate mobilization, if you remember I told you in the slides, you could always extend the artery opening so such that the hood sits nicely. So start looking at your anastomosis like a clock, and then again some surgeons would insist that you take bites individually, which is fine, and I think that's the way you should start when you start doing it. And that when you are on the sides, on these sides, yes, you could take both together, but I think heel and toe. So we've done the heel, we're coming to the toe. I need to start planning how I'm going to go around here. I'd like to take a suture or two here, then the center and come along. And I'm hoping that we won't have a dog here. You can see it's already starting to evert. Both edges are starting to evert, which is, so while my assistant pulls or I pull, we need to do this. Okay? So now you can start seeing that probably if we cheat enough, we might be able to get a reasonably good anastomosis here. So again, taking that 45 degrees forward because it's going to be away from me. And then again, my assistant keeps the traction. These are monofilament sutures, continuous. So please remember. Now, sir, would you consider doing two sutures, one here, one here? Well, you can. So you would have 4 knots in all, but again, it depends. I don't think there's anything written in stone. So I'd probably form a W here as well. Again, pulling the suture out in the direction in which it is coming. As you can see, it seems to be falling nicely here. And while my assistant keeps the traction on, see where your needle is going to go, push it back. Sorry. Watch where you want to push your needle, push it back, and then you see your needle coming out. Hold it. Again, some surgeons don't want you to hold the needle holder with the needle with your DeBakey's. Go by whatever it is, you'll finally form your own techniques. Okay, so that is doing the toe, very important to get that right. And I would, as far as possible, I would say 99.9% of the time, do these all as at one stitch at a time. Very rarely would we take these all in one go. So again, I want this to sit nicely, so you could do a bit of adjusting while your assistant is doing, and then you see this is sitting now beautifully to be taken almost like that. So now that I'm almost done with the corner, I'm going to come probably take one more just to make sure that I have adjusted, again pushing back so that I see the needle coming out. And then the other thing the assistant can do is hold it this way as it comes out. So it opens out the arteriotomy for you. You can see here. Assistant is very important in an anastomosis. Please remember I said anastomosis is only as good as the assistant. Okay, so now if you have enough traction on this, you can just do your home run here. Again, making sure that you're taking all 3 layers at the same time. I mean, at all times, both in the inflow and in the conduit and the native vessel. Otherwise, you will land up with pseudoaneurysms, and that's not a good thing to happen, especially, yes. So again, can you see what happened here? So it went around my clamp. People tend to hold the suture like this and it'll crack. try to avoid that. Use an instrument which is blunt and get it out. Good to protect your potential target areas with a mop that is soaked in hepsaline or saline, so that your sutures don't get caught and broken. Very frustrating. You almost done a good anastomosis and the suture gets caught and breaks, and then you start swearing. So it's called F protector. So you don't use any French when you're operating. And we're nearly done now. Anastomosis doesn't again have to be, see this bit of adventitia, I can pull it over. Anastomosis doesn't have to be airtight, it just needs to be watertight. And then that's it. I'm sure you guys know how to do your knots and stuff. Should I get across to the other side? Some people would say that, do you need to come across now, take one more stitch here? Well, again, depends on you. If you think there is a too wide a gap here, like in this case, maybe I would, but if I pull it together, again, you don't want it to be airtight. So once it's done, you can see, okay, and when blood flows, if it looks like a cobra hood, and I'll show you a video of one of the anastomosis that's like a cobra hood, then you know it's good enough in terms of flow. So this is the inflow from the SFA down on to what would be a FEMPOP and bypass. All right, thank you. Thanks, Sarah, for the recording. Ibrahim for the assistance.